And most customers, they look at reporting as out-of-the-box reporting, and sometimes they look at performance analytics as a simplistic reporting tool, and that's not the case. The case of this is that when we start to align a customer to performance analytics and within the ITSM Pro arena, we want to take them on a journey. We don't just want to show them pieces of software. So the way we position is we always try to look at, why does a customer use reporting? And most of the times they're using reporting because it's what they've always done. And then there's always key alerts in their reporting methodology where they've got multiple people running reports. And I hear keywords that always worry me. We extract the data, we put it into Excel, and then the red alert is we put a formula in. And the thing about this is when you're extracting data and you're using formulas and your customer base are generating multiple reports of the same report, people start to lose faith in the data. So the fact of performance analytics, we push people to the dashboard in arena. And an example I've always had is we have a customer last year I worked with who was generating 1,100 reports a month. And of the 1,100, something like 600 of the reports was the same report. But there was trouble in the data set because they were extracting the data out. They were using values as within Excel in formulas. And because of that, customers were not trusting the data. With it being on the platform, you are not just delivering reports, you're delivering data where we can manage queues, we can target set, we can identify bottlenecks, we can forecast. But one thing that a lot of customers miss about performance analytics is Spotlight. Spotlight is so powerful to be able to prioritize work. And I'm going to come on to that a bit shortly. So PA, performance analytics, the first misconception, it is not just a reporting tool. It's much, much more than that. And actually being able to show a customer's data in this environment and show them where their issues are. But more than that, PA is more proactive. It actually helps identify the bottlenecks and also drive the workforce in that continual improvement cycle. Another part of the pro area that I'm responsible for is I also look after predictive intelligence. And predictive intelligence comes in three guises. It comes in classification, similarity, and clustering. Classification from an input side helps route a ticket to the relevant area. And that can speed up first call resolution, mean time to resolve, all the great stats that you're going to roll back into performance analytics to show the customer where they currently are without ITSM Pro, where we are with PA, and predictive intelligence rolling that result and speeding that result up. Another part is the similarity recommendations. Now, for me, from my operational background, this is by far the biggest piece of predictive intelligence that I really love. Because if you try and put your customer in the mindset and show them, which I am going to show, is if you put them in the mindset of an agent. Let's say we have a new agent starting and they've work shadowed somebody for a couple of weeks, and now we want to put them into action and take live calls. The fact of this is that these people may not be well equipped or trained with the knowledge as of yet to understand how certain things fix in the operational area of your company. So when a customer is using, as an agent, is using the predictive intelligence agent workspace, and they're simply engaging with the customer on the phone, and they're basically just typing the short description, the predictive intelligence, the similarity framework, is presenting that agent with potential similar incidents. It can also do recommended changes, major incident detection, show similar articles. So as opposed to that agent scrambling around trying to find information, we can actually show the agent the relevant tickets to what they're looking at, and again, can resolve the ticket faster. So again, rolling those stats back up to say our mean time to resolve is improving. We can improve CSAT, our NPS score, all these great stuff. The final piece that I look after within ITSM Pro is the virtual agent, and the virtual agent with NLU. So again, this has been a massive drive in our organization, and we have been, well, I have been so busy in the arena because there are so many customers trying to drive that improvement, and there's varying different things of different customers looking for different values out of the VA, and I'm going to come on to that. Another part of the ITSM Pro is the continual improvement. And performance analytics uses continual improvement to actually trigger an event. So if you imagine in one of your dashboard areas, you are looking at something that a KPI that is behaving in the wrong way or it's going in the wrong direction, and you want to basically create a continual improvement record to actually start driving the behavior. So the continual improvement brings in the PA record and actually sort of shows that this is the CIM record success factor. I want this relevant KPI to go in the right direction. Okay. And then within the CIM, you can then start assigning tasks. I'm doing a similar engagement at the moment with a customer who has a very large CIM service model. So they are actually sending out a lot of their tickets externally to external resource. So they've got several vendors and they want to start actively managing the vendors. And they've actually noticed one of their KPIs for their vendors, they're performing bad. Their mean time to resolve is poor. So they've generated a CIM record based on a metric within PA to drive that behavior, and they're sending out several tasks to their relevant vendors to actually start reviewing SLA indicators. So continual improvement is a great way of creating a sort of like a mini project and basing it on a PA indicator to improve that area. We also in ITSM Pro, we also have the vendor and service workspace. And finally, benchmarking. So what you're looking at here is pretty much the ITSM Pro suite. And as I said, I look after about, or responsible for, as an SME, about 75% of this, okay? So the thing about this is what I want to take you through are some slides and and a demonstration, but ultimately I want to sort of make you all understand that it's not, as I said earlier, it's not just about presenting 3 sets of software. It's looking at on the platform 3 applications that if you use them in the right way, you can actually bring the value. And again, this is what I want to show you today. So the first part, performance analytics. So performance analytics for IT service management. You know, what do we want to do? Where do customers see us? They want us to be able to prioritize the resource. They want us to be able to improve resolution times, and using embedded analytics delivers that. We want to deliver automation and self-service. Easily identify areas where automation and self-service can increase efficiency and reduce the costs. We want to drive towards that continual service improvement. We want to be able to pinpoint areas for performance improvement and take action using the key indicators, mobile-enabled scorecards, time charts, analytics, drill downs, and dashboards. That's what we want to do. We want to be able to show them. And then as well as that, most importantly, we want to align to the service with the overall business goals. Now, again, in PA, as of Orlando, we have over 900 KPIs. But just because we've got 900 KPIs doesn't mean the customer wants to or needs to have over 900 KPIs. So it's also understanding what we need to do to actually drive the organization. So when you look at a customer who just simply has reporting, you're looking at where they are right now, okay? Now, that's great, but is that good or bad? Because historically, you're only looking back in time, always. You're always looking, you know, into the past. So with analytics, what you need to do is bring in that historical data. Now, again, customers who don't have PA and now they want to acquire PA, you know, they're not restricted to say they can only start measuring from that point. They can do the historical data import and look at data after the event of purchasing. But now it shows where they've come from and where they are right now. And now this is where PA starts coming into its own, because ultimately you want to start driving KPI indicators, which are classified as leading, to start driving them in that right direction. So once you've got your targets, you start to see the forecasting. So PA starts to show you potentially where you need, what you need to do to get there faster by identifying these KPI structures. Now, I'm sure many people on this call are already aware at some level of PA, but ultimately what I'm trying to do here is make you understand that when positioning this as a part of the ITSM Pro, you're positioning the landscape as it is as of now. but then you're also looking at continually to improve using the virtual agent and predictive intelligence to, really set that continual improvement method off by using virtual agent conversations to deflect, by using the predictive intelligence to route tickets and to show similarity to speed the processes up. So we look at PA in the past as descriptive. We look at looking forward into the predictive arena. And then we also look at what do we need to be prescriptive to be more proactive. Customers without PA, they are only reacting to situations that have already happened. PA gives you that step forward to be more proactive and identify issues that are going wrong at that point. So the way we look at this is we also look from a top-down approach. We see this too often that customers, they purchase PA, but they don't really deploy it, and they don't deploy it in a way which benefits them. So we always push from the organization level, top-down approach. And this is where we start identifying what's called leading and lagging indicators. And this information that we present to the customer, we show them the executive level by basically saying the exec sets the objective, and that sweet spot, those service owners in the mid-tier, they're the ones that are going to identify leading indicators from the process management level, but then ultimately cascading down to their frontline workers to drive the organization. So hopefully this makes sense so far. So once you've got this sort of structure, you need to start visualizing. And again, visualizations within PA are really easy. So an example is an executive may want to look at a single score. A service owner may want to look at things a bit differently. They may want to look at their lagging timeline of data, but then also look at leading indicators. So this visual that you can slightly see, where you can see the 4 little red boxes, you can see that 2 indicators that they've identified are tracking in the wrong direction. So as opposed to waiting for that report on a Friday to go, hey, 3 days ago, we had a high spike in certain tickets not being updated within, a couple of hours, we see all the spike. So as opposed to waiting till Friday, we can let the customer realize they're being more proactive. They're seeing issues happening and they can jump in and start to react to see what's going on. And then finally, from the PA piece, it's Spotlight. I always refer to this, anybody who's heard me speak in the past, I always refer a Spotlight as the golden nugget of PA, because so many customers do not realize the power of this. Now, when I look at this from when I was operational on the ground, if I wanted a way to drive my frontline workers to home in and weight things and not cherry pick the calls, I would basically love to show them a way that I can very quickly, based on certain criteria, create weights. So what you're looking at here is, again, anybody in the service organization, when they look at this view, you'll see that there's a priority 2, priority 3, then 2 priority 1s below. Because ultimately, something is not just weighting this on priority only. I could be weighting this on, it's a key customer. They've paid for a platinum service. So if customer X, who's a platinum customer, logs a call, I want them to get 2,000 points straight away. If it's a critical service application that we have, it could be, give it 5,000 points, 2,000 points. If it's an application where normally, depending on what part of the month it is, it could have a low weight. But come towards the end of the month, let's say payroll, because we all want to get paid, that if payroll goes down, we could actually say give it 10,000 points and shoot it straight to the top of the list. So what you're basically saying is, based on this visual, I've identified the objective, I've identified leading indicators from a service owner's perspective. Now I'm going to drive the organization at the lower level to work on particular tickets and based on Spotlight view. So I hope everybody's writing things down, everybody's nodding in agreement saying, Dale, where have you been all my life? Spotlight is the way forward. Because when I position PA, Spotlight is something I always drive over the line, because if you've got anybody in that process owner perspective from service management on that call, that is the biggest hook on for them of when they see the power of Spotlight and they can drive the organization from the bottom up, it's a win-win. So PA, obviously, what we want to look at is when we look at virtual agent and we look at predictive intelligence and we look at PA, PA should always sit at the top. I'm a big advocate that when any customer purchases ServiceNow platform, they should have PA straight away, because it's one of those applications that runs across the landscape, and the moment the first ticket is generated, we're collecting information. Now, ultimately, we're going to look at the virtual agent success metrics. And again, this is the out-of-the-box virtual agent dashboard showing these value metrics. And I've expanded this with other customers, where some customers say, I've identified each particular topic, and I've actually identified a cost. If a human was running that ticket, how much would it cost me? So I've now done calculations to say, hey, I can give you a dashboard that you can present to the executive team to say, hey, we've had the VA for 6 months, and look how much value it's deflected, and look how much money it's saving us. So again, customer usage here, we want to look at retained users, the bot sessions, first response time, average handling time, all these user experiences. If you can deflect with a well-built bot, and just remember what I just said there, a well-built bot. I'll come on to that a bit later. But ultimately, when you look at all these stats here, you want to start rolling them back to the business outcome. The business outcome is where I am now looking at virtual agent and predictive intelligence, and I'm rolling them up. So your dashboards are showing you potentially where you have process issues and where you need to focus your efforts and look at trending of KPIs going in the wrong direction. But then once I've gone through virtual agent and predictive intelligence, where these two applications within the platform start to actually improve these measures here. So again, cost saving, deflection rates, self-service rates, customer retention, NPS, CES, CSAT. These are all results that push up that result. So imagine a triangle. As I said, imagine PA at the top, but these two applications below, the virtual agent predictive intelligence, they are ultimately improving that continual improvement, and the customer's experience is always evolving. So with that, I'm just going to pause there for any questions.
Thank you, Del. And whilst we see if there's any questions coming in on the Q&A, I'll just ask Josephine to share. We have a very quick, short and sweet poll question to share with the audience, just to get their feedback on. And that is, how many of you have customers who've actually bought Pro but have not yet deployed it? And just very simple answers, yep, to come back, yes, no, and you're not sure. And it's interesting seeing how these numbers are fairly evening out. No, the not sure's going a little bit higher than the other two categories, which seem to be split between them. It's just an idea to get perspective in terms of how our customers are adopting the Pro product. So thank you for that.
Okay.
And
again,
at the moment, Dale, nothing in the Q&A, so we can end the poll.
Okay.
Sorry.
So
I spoke too soon. Sorry, Dale.
Okay. So go ahead.
Yeah, straight from the question box is, what are the recommendations if some measures actually require some heavy ETL job to be done before it gets loaded to the dashboard?
Well, again, now, it's always when they say, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't want to land you in it here, Dale. So if we want to come back to it, that's fine.
No, I think I will come back to it, but just to sort of gauge that is that when the people say the word heavy, it's all defined on how heavy that is, you know, because again, what I'll say is performance analytics, we do not want to be a data lake. We don't want to be that. You know, so again, what I'll do is I'll follow up on that one.
Okay.
So if you give me that, because I'd like to engage with that person so I can follow that back.
Great, because they've qualified the question a little bit and saying multiple table joints and aggregations. So we'll keep that one. You see, that's a good thing to go into Q&A because the question actually stays there and we can come back to it. Yeah, anything that goes elsewhere, we don't see afterwards.
What I can say on that is I had an issue last year, which I worked on, where we had a large customer who was generating huge amounts of data, traversing multiple tables. And what we actually did was we actually generated a best practice for that. So what I'll do is on that Q&A, I'll follow that one up and I'll actually send that document, which is available on the knowledge base, but I'll extract that and I'll send that over. So yeah, it's a very good question.
Thanks, Dale. And I'll hand you over to the next bit.
Okay, and just another thing on that poll is again, I see this a lot where we have customers who purchase ITSM Pro. But the thing about this is that sometimes customers just don't know where to start. And that's the biggest thing. And that's where I get involved a lot when customers have bought the product. You know, they then come out to our AEs and our SEs and they go, really great product. We just a bit where we need to start this off. And what I'm going to say to everybody is, and I'm always going to push my own agenda, is we actually launched 2 years ago what's called the Chain of Gain, and it deployed in Europe, and it's a massive success. We're actually running them so regular now, we've actually had to digitize them. So for smaller events, we can actually send the online material. But it's now been deployed to the US. It's been deployed to Asia Pac. So anybody in the regions, if they hear the words chain of gain, definitely make sure you pay interest to that. And from a partner perspective, we are starting to look at rolling this out to the partners with all the content. We've just got a small thing we need to close off. We were trying to get it done before COVID, but ultimately we've had to delay. So there is a huge content pack. There are online videos, so you can actually have me on your hard drive, and you can basically play the video for certain areas of the chain. But please be mindful, if you see context around the chain of gain, I would seriously advise you get involved, because the chain actually takes a customer through the entire day and showing them PA, PI, VA, and the value and how to deploy, what to do, where to start, and the whole thing like that. So it's a really powerful workshop. So
just before you move on, Dale,
yes.
And just to plug another peak event, we have one in a couple of weeks on Chain of Gain. So just to our current audience, they might well be interested.
Okay.
Thanks, Dale.
Thanks, no problem. And I seriously would say, please, if you want to come to the peak event, please come to that one, because it is so powerful. All right. So the virtual agent. So virtual agent using bot conversations at work. So where we look at this is, I get involved with this, and over the 2 years I've been involved with the bot from this company and previous companies I've worked with, we look at where customers want this. So they want to automate tasks, they want to augment staff, they want to empower self-service. Now, what I've done is, where we see these repetitive statements, we group them into these areas. So again, depending on what persona you're talking to in the organization, reducing cost, reduce staff stress, increase productivity. The one sentence I hear pretty much every time: deflection. I need to deflect calls. I need to deflect. And the whole point of that is, we have organizations where they're flooding the service desk with so much resource because they're getting so much bulk coming through. The first thing is, and remember what I said about a good virtual agent conversation, simply understanding the technology is only half of the battle from a customer's perspective. The second part of it is, what makes a good conversation? I have seen customers where they have designed and built conversations where the bot asks, get this, 18 questions. How many of you on this call would actually sit and listen to a bot going through 18 questions? But the thing of it is, if you were speaking to a human, you would. That's the difference. When a customer realizes they're talking to a bot, once you've got 4 or 5 questions in, you've lost them. So this is the big thing. Learning the technology is one thing. Understanding what makes a good conversation is the big win. And customers, if you can help them see that, that is the definite win. So this slide here, as we say, where can we improve? How do we put bots into? So looking at this, and again, showing value transition, when you look at automation of tasks, these are actual real life examples. Between 1,600K saved in the first 14 days of VA. Over 14,000 VA conversations triggered in 14 days. When we look at empowering self-service, virtual frontline introduced to allow reduction of physical staff. Natural language to allow humanistic chatbot approach. MTTR reduction, there you go. How can I show that in PA? So these are comments. Resolution and chat wait time reduced by 90%. These are real live feedback from customers who have deployed an intelligent bot, not just a conversational bot. And I keep going to that because I've been involved with customers where they want the technology, but as I said, it's only half of the battle. The conversation design is the best win. And again, an example of that, why have the bot ask the customer what their asset tag is? How many customers do you know on the front line in the non-IT world even know what an asset tag looks like? So then you start having to have a VA conversation showing a picture of what an asset tag looks like and say, can you show me that number? But why are you doing that? Because if you've got a good CMDB and I know the user, the bot already knows the user, why can't the bot do a lookup and find the relevant asset? So this is where you start to use the technology and use the bot's ways to actually go and find information so you don't have to ask the customer, okay? As you can see by my voice, you can probably hear I'm quite passionate about virtual agent, in particular around delivering a great bot to a customer. It's like the release of a catalog. If we all remember years ago when self-service catalogs came out, if you built a bad catalog, a customer would only visit it once and would never touch it again. It's the same with a bot. If a customer goes to a bot and the experience is bad, very rare they're going to go back to it. So you have to get that design right. This here is a real life example I just wanted to show here. This here was a customer I worked with, and to give you a high level view, 2 conversations. If you split the screen in half, on the left hand side, 120,000 conversations a year simply providing information. So the high volume, low complexity tickets just provided how do I's. Now the cost per ticket I actually changed because I didn't want to reflect the customer's calculations. But if you imagine that at $13 is $1.5 million telling somebody how to create an Outlook signature. That's a lot of money. If you actually put the real dollar value, which is probably around $65 to $85, that number's exponential. So this customer here had 120,000 tickets. On the right-hand side of the screen, they also had Citrix issues, Citrix session locks. Anybody on the call here who's dealt with Citrix, the session lock is the most painful thing. But based on the calculation, again, 600K, that wasn't the big issue. It was more to do with the average wait time of 30 minutes was basically taking them 729 days waiting. So why I've cut this screen in half, this was 2 types of conversation. One bot handling the contextual search of knowledge base. The second part of it with some level of automation, allowing the user, the customer, to actually self-serve and unlock their own Citrix session. This customer here was the customer where the chat wait time was 22, 23 minutes before the VA was deployed. Call wait time reduced to 20 minutes to 2 minutes within 5 days of go live. That is true. It's real. 5,000 conversations logged in 5 days of go live. This customer within 3 months had logged 83,000 VA conversations with a 73% total deflection. I know this because I work with them. I went through it with them and not only showed them the tech, but I'll keep going back to it, is going back and delivering a conversation that is well designed to give maximum benefit to the customer. So again, we have to look at the different types. So when you're looking at the virtual agent, you've got 2 types of virtual agent at the moment. We have the virtual agent on its own without the natural language, which is obviously keyword search, and the bot is very start and end point and flow through. When we released New York, we introduced what's called the NLU, natural language. And again, I'm going to not spend too much emphasis on this, but ultimately that changed things for us because we can switch a bot from doing keyword search to what's called topic discovery. But more importantly, we also introduced entity recognition. And this is very highly sort of shown here on this slide, because what I want to show is that before New York, if it was in Madrid or London, a conversation had a start and an end point, okay? Customers get that. The bot always has to start and go through all the questions. So if it has 4 questions indicated in this image by the 4 circles, it has to ask all 4 questions, irrelevant of what the customer wants to do. I have to ask these questions. When we introduced the natural language, things changed, because then we introduced what's called the natural language understanding model and intent. We switched from keyword search to topic discovery. So based on the customer's utterance here, the update my email to john@sn.com, the bot actually understands that based on the update my email, I've got the intent and the item. So in the update profile VA topic, there may be 3 things that the bot can do: update email, update address, update surname. But the thing of it is that because I've said email, I don't need to ask that question anymore. And the second point is, I also understand the pattern of john@sn.com. So I don't have to ask what the new email address is. So if the bot conversation has 3 questions, and I answer all the questions within my utterance, I don't have to ask any of them. I can just carry out the action. So what I'm trying to get at here, I can skip the flow. So this is using entity recognition. And this is where customers really like this, because they can start driving the customer to where the bot is more humanistic. Okay, a customer can just rattle off what they want to say, and the bot can show them into the relevant topic and also skip questions. And this is defined here by the intent-based topic discovery. Slot filling is also where we can basically say, and I've just realized I'm announcing to the world my email address, but there you go, happy to do that. Also, look me up on LinkedIn, happy to connect. The slot filling piece here, if you look at what I've said, update my email address in my profile. The email is what we have on file. Now I say update email. But if I actually said update my email to dalecheeseman@servicenow.com, it wouldn't ask me any of that. Conversation switching, being able to switch from one conversation to another based on what I've said. All this, when you're presenting this to the customer so they can see the value of the bot. Okay, and again, when I get involved, I go through a lot of things where I engage with the customer and start sort of saying, looking at what they do, and then actually start doing mock-ups of showing how I can deflect that call. And again, when you're looking at ITSM, a great knowledge base, you've got a deflection potential. If you're looking at HR, you've got an absolutely amazing deflection rate, because a lot of high percentage of HR cases are simply, I need some information. So your deflections are high there. So I don't want to bog down with that, but ultimately what I'd like to sort of say is the virtual agent can be the most powerful alignment into ITSM Pro, and we are going to go into predictive intelligence shortly. And I always feel that predictive intelligence is referred to as its poor, virtual agent's poor relative, but trust me when I say predictive intelligence used in the right way can be so powerful. So I'm just going to pause there for questions, and also I think there is a poll on this as well.
There's just, yeah, thank you, Dale. There's just a short poll. We'll just make it 30 seconds or so. And that is, Rebecca's just going to put up on your screens, is do you, as a partner, do you have enough people trained up, both with CIS, obviously, and ITSM, but more importantly, with the Pro micro certs? So coming back to the importance of, excuse me, good implementation and delivery. And then we'll just get some feel for that. So it looks like predominantly a lot of you have, yeah, about 50-50 have, and another lot are unsure. So actually between each category of yes, no, and not sure, we're now spreading out almost a third each, with a few of you just a little bit not sure versus the yeses. So thank you for that. That's most appreciated, because I want to now move on to the questions that I think Dale's going to enjoy answering. And I was actually
looking at the Q&A thing. It was like going up. It was like the charts. It was like, look at all of them coming in.
Actually,
okay, go ahead.
And what we can't answer here, Dale, we'll just pause and we'll answer offline later. So that's why it's good it's in the Q&A. So First of all, typically for typical implementation, do you, and I know what the answer is going to be on here, do you suggest implementing starting with out-of-the-box content packs and the VA conversations, and leave the customer PA indicators, dashboards, etc. for later, once out-of-the-box is adopted? Yeah,
from a PA perspective and a VA perspective, may I add. So from a PA perspective, yes, because we do a lot of it. And the thing about this is, if a customer goes crazy straight away, they start losing track of what it is they're tracking. So ultimately, getting them to understand what they need to deploy, what PA indicators are required, that's the way. Using out the box is great, and then they can start to evolve. But even from a VA perspective, and again, I think we deliver about 28 conversations out of the box. And the customer I'm talking about, that where we actually had a badly designed bot originally and we reworked it, they had turned off all the out of the box conversations, and they had created 3 very, very particular VA conversations. And when I actually analysed them, I said, how often are they going to be used? And let me put it another way. It was a VA conversation that they could log a call if an iPad went faulty in one of their areas. How often? How often are you going to log that call? And they actually sort of said, yeah, probably not that many. So your VA conversations is going to just go by the wayside. When I actually showed them the value, if a customer, and I mean an end customer, has the power of using the virtual agent to, let's say, escalate a ticket, that empowers, psychologically, that empowers that customer that I can't get hold of IT. Whenever I'm ringing them, it's always engaged. But if I use this bot, I've got the power of doing my little feedback and putting that into it. They feel at ease. So there's a lot of out-of-the-box conversations that maybe tweak slightly, but do deliver some deflection. And I've got customers where they're using these out-of-the-box conversations, and their deflection rates are just, are just climbing. Because ultimately customers are just saying, I need an update on my ticket. I need to escalate a ticket. I need a new ticket, or I need to update something that is very simplistic, and the bot can do that for them. So it's moving away from the language chatbot, because I don't like that word chat, because if you say chat, you're indicating it's a chat. It's going to simply just talk to me. I want it to do something. So using the terminology workbot, I prefer that, because a workbot actually means I'm going to do something for you. So,
Thank you, Dale.
I'm very passionate about VA.
I know. I'm just thinking, in the interest of time, what we can do is come back to some of these questions, because there are a few, and those that don't get answered live, we will certainly come back to in any event. And then at the end of the session here, if we've got a few, I'll come back to these questions for you. But I'm just conscious that we want the partners to get the best out of this overview, just for the moment. Thank you.
So I'm going to start with this sentence. Your predictions are only as good as the training data. If you were from the UK, I have a different phrase for that, but for the benefit of being live on the webinar, I'm going to stick with your predictions are only as good as the training data. I'm also going to use the other one, junk in equals junk out. Okay, so just remember that. Now, predictive intelligence, the framework capabilities. We originally launched predictive intelligence. It's had a few names, but we originally launched it in Kingston with classification. Over a period of time, we've improved that. And then as well as that, when we launched Madrid, we introduced the similarity. I love similarity. I'm going to talk about that. The base of recommending similar records. The NLU inference was introduced in New York, with also the clustering. But new is also in pilot at the moment, so there's limited release at the moment. In Orlando, NLQ, natural language querying, being able to take an utterance from a customer, an NLU utterance within the analytics center, and transforming that into a query and giving a high-level result in analytics. So these are the 5 areas of where capabilities have improved with predictive intelligence. So, base one, classification and framework. And I'm going to skirt through, there's not many slides on this because I want to show it you. But basically, classification is a big win straight away. Is based on a customer logging a call via the email or via the portal, however it comes through, they basically say, I'm no longer receiving email. It's imperative that I get email working again by the end of the day. And I've just realized a phrase in my sentence there. They can't send an email, so how are they going to send this email? But I'm no longer receiving emails. But what actually happens is the trained model, the classification model, it actually, based on its results, can say, I know how to prioritize it, I know how to categorize it, so I'm going to do that for you. That was the base on that. But customers, when you show them the value by actually showing them the prediction model going forward, that, hey, going forward, I can predict 93% of your incidents with a 94% confidence rate. When customers realize, customers who have a large triaging area where tickets are just logged and then sent out, you know, that's your mean time to resolve is slowing down. Your first call resolution is reducing. If I can get it to the right team at the point of login, I'm getting it first call resolutions are going up. My MTTR is going down. And ultimately, your CSAT's going up, your NPS score is going up because you're improving, you're routing tickets faster. Now, what I am going to show you here, and I'm actually going to show you a live example, is that when we also introduce classification and we also introduce similarity, classification, even at the virtual agent level, is doing stuff. Because if you look at this example on the left-hand side, I'm logging a ticket, and based on this, I log a ticket, I'm having an issue with email. When the virtual agent generates the call, the incident, predictive intelligence comes in and basically says, I know where that needs to go. And actually, it can categorize, assign, prioritize, but ultimately, there is zero contact from the service team. It's gone straight away to the relevant group. Okay, so this is one area here. Now, you've also got to look at the strategic perspective here. And what you want to look at is that you've got the virtual agent doing the virtual chat, ordering items, knowledge base, opening tickets, system statuses, presenting outages, okay? But then the other side of it, from the remediation side, you've got predictive intelligence being able to group assignments, agent intelligence, major incident detection, similarity matching, you know, and this is where the two working together work very well. So I'm actually not going to pause for questions. I'm actually going to stop sharing for a second whilst I just launch up another screen, because what I want to do is I actually want you to see how I present the bot to a customer, the virtual predictive intelligence, because there is a very powerful way of showing this. So I'm just going to present one of my screens. So I'm just going to open this up. So I apologize while I just move things around. I'm going to share my screen and share screen, and I'm going to present. So please, Susan, can you just confirm when you can see my screen?
I will. Yep, I can see it clearly.
Okay. Now, this is where I sort of see customers seeing the value of predictive intelligence. And I touched on it earlier regards to the agent, the actual person on the ground speaking with the customer. Now, the examples I'm going to give here, this is the agent workspace, so a nice little one-stop window view. But in here, I'm going to look at this section here. Imagine an agent is speaking with the customer. And I always do this when I'm presenting. I basically sort of say, imagine your agent, and I'm logging the incident, and I very simply say, network file share access issue. Now, that agent would normally log the call if they were unaware of the resolve, and then go and research it and then come back. If you look over here, the agent assist, the similarity framework has gone, hello, we've got a recommended change. And you could view it by clicking these three dots. But ultimately, if you're happy with that, you could say to the customer, yes, Fred, where we notice we've got a file access issue. We've actually got a change request in play for this. Are you happy for me to link you to that? Yes, that's great. Once they've linked, the workflow from change would then potentially kick in. So from an agent's perspective, I'm done. I've basically answered the question. I know the issue. We know what the resolve is. There is a change. I'm going to link them to that change request. So a customer starts to go, oh, hold on a minute. This is quite clever. Another point of this, the major incident detection. I always show this as well, that based on me logging a call again, I could basically see that the MI is kicking in and saying, we've noticed that there are 4 similar high impact incidents that have been created in the past. I don't like that 9 hours, but it can be less than that. But ultimately, you want to say, right, I'm aware of this. I may want to propose an MI. So at this point, again, based on the way that you process, you could basically say, right, I need to log this information, and now it's in a proposed state. So that's another way. Again, similar to change, you've also got email incident crash and able to connect password. Again, being able to use this agent assist method, I can very quickly view a recommended article and attach it. Again, workflow could kick in and send the recommended knowledge article to the customer. And then final piece on this one is just to show you that if I open up a ticket and I call up the agent assist and I'm basically working the ticket, I can very quickly say, actually, show me similar resolved open incidents or similar open incidents. But as you can see in the list, I could also say, show me similar problems, show me similar changes, show me similar knowledge articles. So what I'm doing is I'm taking, let's say, a customer's knowledge base or incident table contains millions of records. The predictive intelligence is looking at these similarities and presenting only the similar incidents, articles, catalog items, problems, changes, and it's presenting them to that agent. So very quickly I could go, yes, Joe employee. I can see it. I'm just reviewing a similar incident I have. I can link you to it, or I can basically explain the fix. So then you start rolling the story back up to performance analytics. So, I could fix this at first call resolution. Ultimately, my mean time to resolve is reducing. My CSAT scores are going up because ultimately what are we all here to do is deliver the best customer service we can and deliver it in a fast way. Okay, so this is what we do. So as I said, just to recap, we have the 3 different types of predictive intelligence. It's always important to show all 3. Showing the solution itself and showing the results that have been presented back from the solution model. Also, what's worth mentioning is, while I'm just clicking through here, it's also worth you understanding the data sovereignty. Because one thing that I see a lot of when I'm going through predictive intelligence, customers always want to talk about the data sovereignty of predictive intelligence. How secure is the data? Can anybody access the model? What happens on the trained model? Does ServiceNow retain any of the data to make their overall models collective? So there's a lot of questions there. So, make sure you're aware of these things from a sovereignty perspective. And then the final piece here is the clustering. This was released in New York. And clustering is really powerful because I actually use clustering for virtual agent. Now, it's presented as a proactive problem management area of looking at where tickets are clustered. But what I've started to do with the cluster framework is running a cluster. And I know this looks like an Andy Warhol painting, but I want to start looking at my cluster tickets. So I'm basically saying, show me some tickets with a cluster value of above 83. So where there's more than 83 in a cluster. But as well as that, I also want to see the cluster quality. So basically the tickets that are in the cluster, the quality relationship percentage between them. So you now see that I've got a couple of clusters remaining. When I click on one of the clusters here, you see I've clicked on cluster 54, there's 133 clusters in there, the quality is around 68%, but I can start to see, hold on a minute, there's a few admin password options here. Do I need a virtual agent conversation, or is there a potential? So some customers are using the cluster framework, and how I present the cluster framework is, yes, it's proactive problem management, see where your tickets are clustering up, but as well as that, customers are using this for a potential VA deflection. So this can give me the information of, do I have any potential VA candidates in there? So I'm going to pause there very quickly for any more questions. I'm going to stop sharing while I switch my screens back. So Susan?
Yep, there are quite a few questions here, so we're not going to get them all through, but here's a question. Is it possible to build customization on top of VA, for instance, to integrate with third-party cloud providers, monitoring tools, etc., in order to get, a sign of the health of the surrounding systems?
Before I answer that, can I just confirm with Susan, is that are we all under safe harbor statements here?
We should be. Actually, we didn't put one up at the front, but we have to make a quick safe harbor statement. I don't know if you've got a safe harbor slide handy. But this will be safe harbor, or we can answer it later.
I'm going to answer it later.
Answer it later, and we'll attach the safe harbor. Yeah.
There is something coming in the Paris release that will answer that question, but I'd prefer to be under safe harboring before I issue any forward-looking statements. So right. I apologize, but I will follow it up.
That's all right. And are there any ROI visualizations that could be used in investment discussions around all these pro elements?
I can tell you now, and this is not a roadmap question, but we are actually working on tool sets at the moment that actually look at ways of, obviously solution clustering is always a way that I mentioned about using the clustering solution to find VA conversations. There's also a way of, you could analyze ticket data within PA and actually look at that value as well. But there is utility tools in pilot at the moment of where we can look at data and actually classify it into a relevant NLU model and potentially show the value, mean time to resolve, average resolution times that we could save if they had virtual agents. So there is things coming within that utility area.
Okay, that's brilliant. And maybe just one last question, and then I think we'll have to quickly whiz on to the last piece. Are there any plans to make Agent Assist available for interactions, and at least for use cases, or or catalog requests?
In what respect? Do we know?
I think it's all related. Let me have a look.
So
really for use cases, yeah, or catalog requests is what it's relating to. So
Agent Assist, so the similarity framework, you can do show me similar catalog items, show me similar knowledge items. So the similarity framework, what it's doing is you create a similarity solution, and inside the similarity solution you have two tables. You're basically saying, in this table show me any similarities in this table. So